Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming from today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn, I'm hosting today and I'm here with Ramesh Harikrishnasamy. Hey Ramesh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Flynn?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's great to have you back on. First time this year, which is awesome. So for people that might not be aware of your work, can you give us a little bit of a rundown, a little elevator pitch of who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Rames Harikrishnasamy and I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. For those who don't know me or might not already know me, you all know that I'm a self-taught person. Again, I am a business student. So my passion is design, something that I discovered, thank God, very early stage of my life during college times. And ever since then, every time I see Photoshop, it's just, you get so excited that you want to keep creating. And I think I've created tons of stuff. You guys can check it out on Instagram later on.
Cool. Well, we'll share some links to your socials. If you're watching the video on demand, there's links down the bottom of all of our videos of all of our guests, so you can go check out Ramesh's feed and everything. Some amazing work. You can see some of his work as well on the wall, but we're going to get stuck into kind of a bit more of a how-to. So I'll let Ramesh transition over there. But just if you are new to Adobe Live, we are live. So we're here for an hour. We're hanging out with Ramesh today and tomorrow. And if you have any questions as we're going through, please don't hesitate to throw them in chat. We'll keep an eye on that. And we'll ask you questions as well. So maybe questions about Photoshop or anything else that you have as we're going along. Yeah, and that's it. Let's transition. Let's check this out because I'm so excited. We've been talking about doing this for like a month now. So I'm excited we're finally here.
Yeah, can't wait to show stuff. Hey guys, so if you're looking at my screen right now, so this is what we're gonna do for today. Again, at one glance, you might have this kind of like pressure. Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. So always try first. Then you know how easy it is. Again, introduction. So we're gonna work on double exposure today. I'm gonna just run through the agenda for today so you guys know what's gonna happen. So first thing first, what is double exposure? I think it would be nice to just know the definition behind it. Double exposure photography is a technique that layers two different exposures. So most of the time, this double exposures, right? What's different is that they like to play with dark and bright colors. And what works really well is white and black. If you have two, like you have negative space of that for a particular photo, there's a lot of white and there's also a lot of black spots. That's perfect. So that you can use that to do double exposures. And then double exposures creates a surreal feelings of your photos, and the two photographs can work together to convey deep meaning and symbolism. So this is what I'm gonna show for today. Let's start off with a mood board. So what do I mean by, surreal feeling, right? So let's jump straight to the mood board. As you guys can see here, right? These are movie posters. And these movie posters are using the technique of double exposures. So you guys can see they use one or two photo. There's always a negative space. Like I said, there's a lot of white and there's always a black area. So that's where you show a lot of like meaningful artworks that goes into it. Like for example, for the bird box poster over here, you can see that Sandra Bullock has her eyes being tied, but within her body itself, there's also another message. Right?
Yeah.
In there, you can see how both of these artworks works together to give you a different meaning compared to the one at the Homesman here, right? I watched this movie, super nice. You guys should watch it too. So, like at one glance, it gives you a different message of like, what is this story about? Is it a woman struggling? So who's this dude over here on this horse? So again, a different messaging, right? Again, you also need to know that movie posters supposed to trigger curiosity. And this is what double exposure helps in terms of that. And the first one, movie poster over here, also one of my favorite movie, acted by Emily Blunt. It's slightly futuristic, there's a lot of soldiers, armies, but then you can see how double exposures work here. Within her face itself, you can see a lot of lineup images that works within the head. And then slowly at the bottom, you can see on the feet of this particular soldier over here, there's a lot of cars, explosion, and you can see some of it goes beyond the double exposure. So it gives you, so that not everything is content within the body of the person. Even here, for example, you can see things are start to coming out of it, so that it's not always within the body. So this is what double exposure is. And another thing that I want to talk about is we're going to have a 5-minute challenge. So what is this 5-minute challenge is that now that I already talked to you guys about the mood board of movie posters, we're going to create this movie posters, simplified movie posters using double exposure techniques. Again, I say 5 minutes, I probably can do this in 3 minutes. But the idea is, how can you do things fast, right? It's all about layering things, and then a bit of composition and a bit of typography. So the typography here is a bonus, where you guys can learn how to do a composition. How do you do a color change over here? Oh my God, it's going to be difficult. You know, probably at the back of your head, probably you have this, but then trust me, it takes literally for me 3 minutes. So I'm going to go extra 5 minutes to just explain things around, right? So yeah.
Awesome. Ooh. 5 minutes. That's pretty impressive. Like I would say at first look, you would think that it would take a lot longer to create this kind of effects. That's really cool. Frank in chat has also said, often used as a container on movie posters. Yeah, it's interesting when you see these techniques, because there's actually such limited space on movie posters. Like you think because they can be so big, there must be all this real estate, but it's like a book cover. You have just a second to get someone's attention, and you will notice this technique if you're not familiar with it already. It's one of those things now. Every time you see a movie poster that uses this, you'll recognize it straight away.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Now we're gonna get started. So this is what we'll be creating for today. Of course, right after this, we will do the 5-minute challenge, right? So while I'm doing this, I'm gonna just explain how things will execute and what kind of layering effects that we're supposed to use so that you get this effect. Let's get started. So I already have a canvas open here. So I'm using a white landscape so that there's more negative space. Again, in case you guys want to add more stock images around it, you guys can do so. For now, I'm going to start adding the first image. It's called portrait. There you go. It's a portrait of this guy over here. I'm going to just enlarge this really big, and there's a bit of cropping to do because I don't really want all this space around the light spotlight. So I'm gonna first remove that very quick. And how do I do that is that I'll just mask it first. All you have to do is again press on this particular icon here. There's a rectangle and there's a round shape over here in case you have never done any masking before. And now I'm gonna just manually select the area that I don't want, which is basically this. Again, easy to crop things out because I just want the space around his head. And then I'm gonna just select this part, and again, all you have to do is make sure the color palette here goes to white and press on delete. Ta-da! Perfect. It's easy as that. So you don't have to you can also use select subject if you want. Again, because it's a very quick masking, so I don't have to add or use any other tool. Let me enlarge this really big again.
We actually have a first question as well in chat, if you don't mind. Perfect. As well. What made you do the work you do now? Or was there a moment where you knew this career is what you wanted to do?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Love the question. You know how I'm gonna go sidetrack a bit. You know how if you look at a girl, God, if I were her wife or girlfriend, she is the right person, right? You have this feeling, right? Again, the reason why I'm using this is because I think it's a perfect thing. It's similar to my passion. When I was studying business in the college time, right? It was like half-hearted thing because I had this pressure. Yeah, it was a pressure from my family saying that you have to take up this course so that you can live happily ever after later on. You can earn so much. But I was like, you're forcing me, but this is not something I want. But then, thank God, while I'm going through the course and I was traveling and all that, that thing just passed through my mind when I start looking at design. I go why do I get excited every time I see like movie posters, by the roadside, because I was traveling through by bus last time, because again, being a student, I don't have money to buy a car. So, but again, thank God I was traveling by bus and I saw all those movie posters, billboards, and I go like, wait a second, maybe I should do something with this. And then that's when I discovered Photoshop. Back then, where you have 30 days trial in order to create something. Yeah, but now it's subscription. Back then it was 30 days trial, and that's when I fall in love until today.
There we go. I love it. Thanks for the question, Alessandro. It's great.
So this is the first image. So we're gonna start adding the first image. Would be the portrait of this person over here. And the concept behind this is that if you guys watch my previous streams, I always have a story behind it. It makes your work exciting, and also for you to get more motivated. It's not like a random image that you put together. It has to have a story so that you are engaged from the starting point of your creation until the end, until you show it to a person or you post it on social media. It's always important to have the story so that it's not it's just an artwork. You don't have to say that. When you accompany a story to it, your artwork, there's a lot of meaning to it. There's an added value to it. So yeah, always make sure you have a story. Okay, now that I already placed the image, you'll probably be thinking, okay, how are you going to put this onto the head? I'm sure you guys have seen the preview image, right? The beauty in this Photoshop is that I'm sure you guys have seen this layering effects over here, from dissolve to darken to multiply to color burn. Today, we are going to use one. It's called lighter color.
Lighter color, okay.
Yeah. Look at this. As soon as I do that, right? So what happened is that because of the white negative space around it, whatever that's white is being masked by the head. So you don't see anything beyond it. And all I have to do, that's the reason why I say 5-minute challenge, because you can do this literally in one click, right? Like the color and you're already done. So I'm going to just enlarge this. So the story behind this image is that once I put things together like this, right? You can see a face of a person. And then the guy inside of it, he's looking down. It gives you a feeling of anxiety or sadness, right? Like he's not putting his hands up, go like hooray. Obviously, from that image, you can portray that he's happy, probably achieved something. But here he's sad, he's looking down. So again, like I said in the beginning, it can give you a surreal feeling or a feeling of symbolism. In here, even though this guy is looking straight, I'm talking about this guy over here, it doesn't mean that he is happy.
Right.
Humans are like that. There's a lot of emotion going on. That's why people say don't judge that person quickly just because of an incident. Probably that person is going through a lot. You don't see that thing on their face, doesn't mean they are happy, right? It probably something else is going on. So that's the messaging I'm going to do here. So it's important to also, again, how do I symbolize or summarize all that into an artwork? This is how I do it. By showing, a portrait of a person, but the person is inside in his head. He's actually alone. He's sad. So yeah, don't judge anybody. Okay, I'm gonna put this here. And then another thing that adjustment that need to be done is that because the sky, right? If I on back the normal mode here, the sky, the person is at is not really white. If it's white, if I change the lighter color, if I push the sky up here, right? If you watch, let me zoom in. If I push things up, you can still see there's a bit of gray,
right?
And there's a white here. So I don't want that. I want to make sure that it goes out as if it's been released beyond the head. So how do I do that? Of course, I need to do an adjustment. And again, this adjustment is also super easy. All you have to do is click on the portrait. And if you are using Windows, Control L, or if you're using Mac OS, press on Command L, you get levels. So in this level, just move the first bar on the, so there's actually 3 arrows. Take the first one and move it up. See what happens to the gray area over here as I'm sliding this up. It's gone.
Yeah, you're just obliterating the whites into nothing.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So when I do that, now it looks like the white area is going into the cave, right, of this portrait. So I'm gonna just leave it. Okay, this sounds good. I'm gonna just move the composition so that it's in between here, or move it up. There you go, just to make sure that it's in center. And it's like it's being masked, right? It's like very similar to masking. The problem with masking is that you can never get this detailing. Can you see, like, around his head, there's also white areas, but then for me, that's the beauty of lighter color, is because it still maintain some sort of like a detailing of that person. If I do masking, you get a very sharp cut. Then I don't see any emotions. It's just a silhouette of a person and there's an image in the middle. So it doesn't look realistic enough. So that's the reason why we're using the lighter color. And now that I've added here, there's also area down here, as you guys can see. That one probably you can just mask it because I'm gonna add in another photo, right? All I have to do is mask, and then I'm gonna just switch to B, and B for brush, and then I'm gonna switch my palette to black. Black is to remove stuff, and I'm gonna just do a very soft brush over here, and then we're gonna import in the next image, which will be the forest. Again, there's never a yes or no when it comes to Photoshop. Again, it's all your imagination. You don't have to see things as it is. I think one of the things that I want to say is that there's actually a term that my boss like to use. It's called bend reality.
Okay.
You bend things like whatever you see doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It's all up to you. That's when Photoshop helps, right? For example, this forest over here, I don't like the composition of this tree. Looks like this. I'm gonna just switch it to vertical. And the reason why, I'm sure you know that, why did I use this particular image is because there's a lot of white space and there's also a dark spot, which is perfect because it can blend things together. So I'm gonna just move this tree over here. And I'm gonna, again, like I said, lighter color, right? Let's change normal to lighter color.
So when you're choosing images, you're looking to make sure that they have those extremes, those complete polar opposites, the big contrast. And then you're thinking about how the composition might work. Like, okay, it's dark down the bottom and it's light up the top. That doesn't really work with my image. Oh, what if I flip it around? So you kind of...
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. So it's also always about try and error. Obviously, whatever that I do over here, of course, I do a lot of testing. Like, for example, what works and what didn't is that now that I know a lot of like white space and dark space works well, and whenever I choose my images, I'll make sure that this is the direction so that I don't waste so much of time looking at more colorful images. There's no dark spot, and then it won't work well. Then it looks like a matte image where there's no much of smooth, what do you call, like, for example, if I move in here, right, you can see if I add in the forest, you can see how the detailing of the tree is now merged with the rocks, right? So that's the beauty of it. If I do simple masking or use a different color, then I need to do a lot of photoshopping where I need to take the brush, I need to do a lot of masking. Again, my goal always in life is that I want to create something fast and show it to the world where I'm happy with, which is this. Like, for example, I already know this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to show to the world, and the messaging that I want to go together with it.
Cool.
Right? So that's the tree. Because of the shoulder, very broad, right? So I'm going to just move here and enlarge the tree.
So you must have to find very high-res images, right? To be able to kind of manipulate. Is there anything else you need to be looking for? Like, is it just, really high-res? Do you have to convert them to smart objects or do anything with them?
So when you import things, like, for example, how I'm working right now is that I have another computer beside me. I just drag things up, and that makes my particular file to be smart object. If you are doing all this, like, file open and then drag the image in, you probably not smart object, and then you start doing all this modification, don't do that. Always make sure that it's also non-destructive. Like, for example, you do want to destroy the image. It's something that I've been telling from my first stream until now. I'm sure Flynn knows. Again, you want to make sure that your image is protected. Like for example, if I double click on this forest, I still have the photo of this forest. It's super high res. Like for example, you guys can see here, it's super high res. Again, the beauty of this is that what if in the future, the next 2 months down the road, and I want to use similar, again, I cannot find any other pine trees like this is like the perfect one. If I destroy it in my artwork here, and I need to start looking for the stock image again on the my stock images, where I need to download again. It's all data, time. My goal always when I do work is that how can I save my time? Time is money. So always make sure that whatever you guys do, just think twice. Like for example, if I destroy this image, or did I even example, let's say at one point you want to destroy this image. For example, there's no other way. All you have to do is just make sure you duplicate it and then you rasterize because you want to do a different type of like modification to it.
Right.
But always make sure that you duplicate it, right? So that you know you can go back to the file and download it back. So yeah.
Great. Awesome.
So now that I already add the tree in, again, like I said, there's no right way to do things. Like for example, I know my example shows the tree is this way, right? It's like upside down. Also, a messaging that I want to say is that, you know, a person's life might be upside down just because you're looking at the person, the person is smiling, you know, interacting in a normal way. Probably the life is upside down right now and he don't know how to cover it up. And this is also a reason why I'm putting the tree upside down. So always have a story to it so that, again, your artwork will be more meaningful that way. Again, let's try out a different way. Like for example, I can even slant it this way, right? And then if you notice, the gray is there. It doesn't give the right feelings. Like I said earlier, you can also play with levels. Here, what problem that might occur is that because the gray is just too much, if I increase the white area, the tree might get sharpened or the color might get very contrasty. So let's try that, right? Let's try that. So I'm gonna drag these. Oh, it's not so bad. There you go.
There's the experimentation coming back in.
There you
Sometimes
go.
You gotta try things.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So this way it looks good as well. Like for example, even though it's slanted, you can see like half of his body is like merging with the white space, which is cool. See, I just did something new, which I didn't even try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tree is still up here. You know, it looks like a cave. Of course, I need to do a bit of masking here. Is because the tree is going into the body of that person. So let's just do a bit of masking. Just remove that, just a bit. There you go. Still looks good, and it already gives the messaging of, you know, depression. You know, upside down. Can also be he's stuck somewhere and he want to just release. That's the reason why there's a space up here. Sometimes people see when you look at problems as the way it is, it's a wrong thing. People often forget that there's always a different perspective. For example, you just need to stand at the side here and see if there's any other way I can solve a particular problem. Similarly, this way, right? For example, maybe he's stuck, but there's always a way out. There you go. I just came up with a different story here. Beauty of this is that, like I said, when you have all these definition things going on your brain, like similarly how I do my work is that when I'm doing that work, that story is already running in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I know that's the right message that I should tell to my caption. Again, later on, if you guys have the time to check out my Instagram content, is that I'll always accompany with a messaging, because I just don't like to just put an artwork, go like, okay, this is my artwork for today. I want you guys to just read through and see what you get out of it. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. It's like a brief in graphic design. Like you need to have a really solid brief at the beginning and then continue all the way through the whole process with this clear guiding principles. And I guess a story with the artwork acts in a similar sort of way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. Again, there's also many ways. Like for example, today I'm using the mood board of portrait of humans. So imagine having an animal, a silhouette. Like for example, I can see Flint at the back. Is that an animal at the back?
That's a elk or a deer. Yeah.
There you go. So if I were to use a silhouette of that particular animal, and again, what's happening around the world, and there's sometimes they have this fire in the forest, right? Again, I'm just throwing out another idea here. You can use that particular animal. Again, try to add in because there's a lot of black spots in the fire. Imagine inserting that image of a fire and then change to lighter color, and you start seeing, how can you help in order to eliminate these kind of things happening in the future. So that's another messaging. So again, there's always a way to look at things. Right now I'm using human. If I were to use animal, right now I don't really have a stock image of an animal, else I'll just dive in and create another one, because I can't wait to go for the 5-minute challenge. But here we are just playing with again, this is just a warm-up session to just show you guys how you guys can move things around. For example, the cave over here, you can always move things here, right? There's a bit of masking needed. Again, I'm just going to move things around to show you guys a different perspective. There you go. See the shoulder. Here's another beauty. Because of the portrait, right? He has a wider shoulder, and there's actually a rock. If I move the rock to the side, look how it merged.
Yeah.
The rock and the shoulder. Now it looks like one.
Looks like it's part of the image, like the negative space.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of it, of white spaces, because there's a lot of angle that you can look at. So yeah, if you zoom out, it looks cool. So maybe I erase the year away so that it looks cool. Like for example, if I have to do that, I think I'll just brush white color and I'm done. There you go. That looks cool. But yeah, so again, there's no right or wrong. Always explore. I'm gonna just keep moving back to the tree on how it was before. Again, just to guide you all. Again, I move things around because I want to explore. Always explore. Just make sure that the things are right. There you go. That looks good. Cool. So again, within not even half an hour, I think maybe like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a very quick way of creating a very meaningful an image that looks surreal, but there's a meaning to it, right? Symbolism. So yeah, this is the first draft. So if there's any question, I would like to answer. If no, let's jump into 5-minute challenge.
There was another question. Yeah, if you give me a sec. Any tips on incorporating stories into your work? Where is a good place to start?
Wow. In ways. Oh wow. Okay. So I tell you guys my again, I'm not a philosopher or whatever. I'm just a normal dude. I came up with my story while I'm doing the artwork. Again, I thank the universe for feeding me that stories. Is that I just don't think. Like for example, I don't wait for the answer. Like for example, if I start working on an artwork, I know this is the artwork that I want to achieve. Like for example, most of the time I already have a visualization at the back of my head. This is the direction. Very only not even 0% that I go to a Photoshop. I go like, what should I do today? Never.
Right.
Never do that. Don't force yourselves. Always. I know you guys probably have heard this many thousands of times. Like inspiration is all around you. I'm gonna say the same thing. It is around you. You just need to just pause and look at one direction and see what can you get out of it. Most of the time, people say they never get inspired is because they keep searching. You don't have to search. You just need to pause. Like for example, right? There's a story that I read like 2 days ago where this person rarely look at rainbows and all that, because this person always on the rush. So what happened was that day there was a traffic light and he stopped his car and the cars are not moving, and it was right after rain and there was a beautiful rainbow that appears at the beside him, and the person just stare and appreciate, oh my god, this is the moment that I was looking for, or something that's again is always there. Rainbow appears once a while, but then if you're at the right time at the right moment, you just appreciate that moment, and then again you get inspired. Like I said, you don't have to search for a story or whatever. It will come to you if you allow it.
Right.
It doesn't sound, it shouldn't sound woo-woo here. It's just like, just pause and things will come. Right? So yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Great. Thanks for the question as well.
Yeah, good question. Okay, now that we are here, the time shows that we are halfway in the stream. I'm gonna jump into our challenge.
5-minute challenge. Okay, cool. And for those that weren't here at the start, so Ramesh has given himself the challenge of doing double exposure 3 different times. So going to recreate these in less than 5 minutes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So each of this also has a story. Maybe I should explain.
Yeah,
at one glance, what you guys can see is that, again, it's a movie poster. There is somebody in her head, and there's also a house. Again, like movie posters, I'm sure you guys have seen like thousands of movie posters, right? What do you get? What is the messaging? What is the curiosity? Probably she is that person. God knows, because that person now is wearing a cap. Maybe she's stuck in her own house. Something is haunting her. So that's another messaging. And you can see there's a house down there. And again, the title was Alone. Is she really alone? So that's another curiosity going on. And you can see the colors.
Yeah.
It's no longer white. It's different color. How do I came up with that? It's also another tips that I'm going to share today.
Yeah, it's very much a horror poster. Yeah, I totally get that she's alone, as in she has no one with her going through this horrible experience, and she's being stalked by this, Jason-like character, obviously in a particular setting, like a bottle episode kind of setting. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So that's one. And also, I explained from my side. Like, for example, if you guys notice, Flynn gets a different vibe out of it. So that's the beauty of movie posters. Falling, very similar technique to the one we did earlier. There's a space up there, but then here it's called falling.
Yeah. Right?
So there's empty space underneath. There's also empty space on top. So what's happening? Is this life is falling apart? God knows. Again, curiosity. And another beauty is that I use a tear paper. It's not a sharp masking or whatever. Again, we're going to look at that stock image separately later on.
Cool.
So that's one, falling.
So yeah, so for me, I get something a bit sci-fi about
really?
that. Yeah, I get something a bit futuristic. I think it's kind of a young guy. And there seems like there's going to be something a little bit sci-fi or a little bit magical or fantastical or something like that happening. And definitely something emotional, because he's been split into, like, you're being torn apart,
and he's looking
and
down.
Falling. They're very kind of abrupt words and language.
And also, maybe another message that could happen. Why a tab paper? Probably he's working in the lawyer firm.
Yeah.
Maybe he's doing, because what's paper related? What kind of companies or organizations that use paper? Why paper, not shortcuts of a rock or something, right? So it's also a hidden messaging going on. Yeah. Next,
maybe he's just a board accountant and he's sick.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And something happened, right? And last but not least, this is the next movie, the third movie poster we're going to create later on. It's called The Scam. So here it's more like conspiracy theory mixed with some documentary kind of movie posters. You can see another perspective that I tried here is that I really like this, where there's a road and there's a person on a cycle and there's another person walking in the street. And this perspective is very rare. Like, for example, somebody took a photo from a bridge, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, and the light that comes from the top. And there's also a fire going on underneath. So what story that's happening here? Probably, again, because the titles already say the scam, but what kind of scam is going on here? Who is this guy? Is he a good guy or bad guy? Why is he facing the other way around, right? Where is his hand? So again, a lot of questions. Again, different people will get a different idea out of this. Yeah, that's the reason why I want to create 3 different type of movie posters. There's also another thing that I added here is that it's not flat white. There's also a bit of smokes coming out from the negative space, so that it's not just flat out. So cool. Let's get started.
All right.
Okay, let's start with the first one, which is called Alone. Okay, we're gonna get the first stock image. There you go. That's the goal here. I'm gonna just increase the size to just fill up the whole space, just like these. Okay, so again, beauty of this image is that it still have the detailing. Like, for example, underneath the neck here, it's not flat silhouette, because flat silhouette it give you a very flat look. Like, for example, it looks like a clip art. That's the reason why I use a lot of like a high resolution of a real image. So that's one. First image that we're gonna import in is the guy. So the tips here, always remember normal to lighter color. Whew. See, it's already auto crop for you. Like whenever I go around, it's within the space. So let's enlarge this. I hope Flynn is not timing this right. I did say 5 minutes. I'm just gonna add some explanation. You will be
totally timing it.
So there you go. I'm gonna add that in, and we're gonna add in the haunted house. There you go. Oh, there's actually another thing that can be. There's a bit of like graveyard happening in the background. So again, normal to lighter color. Let's enlarge this, and then move things down. Oh, another beauty in this is that you can see the how the branches trying to join the background of that person. So we're gonna do a bit of masking there, so that it looks more merged. There you go. Cool. So now that we have done this, it's time to add in the color. And how do I do this? I hope Flynn still remember. Color lookup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We did a stream a while ago about this, and I was kind of blown away by this effect. So yeah, this is a super awesome filter in Photoshop.
Here you go. So I'm gonna just increase the whole image so that the head is bigger, just filling up the space. Cool. Okay. So again, why color lookup is because I want to add a bit of color, warm color, else that might not work. And also the hue of this photo is already, there's a lot of orangey and yellow going on, right? That's that. And now to add in the title, let's call this Alone. And I'm going to just increase the font size. And I'm going to change the font size actually, the type to something thin. Maybe this. Alone. But I'm gonna have more space, a bit of kerning and space. There you go, like this. And you probably will be wondering, oh God, Ramesh, now what? Are you sure 5 minutes? Because I can't even read the copy. Ta-da! Here's another tips. That's if your layer is normal. What if it's difference? Put it maybe I put it up too high up. Where did my copy go? Okay, here. Alone, I'm gonna just do a bit of color, change it to black. Wait for the magic. Difference. You know what happens? Usually they move. Is there any questions that I can take while I'm doing these?
Yeah, so I had one.
Yes.
The lighter color effect that you were doing, because there's 3 images here. So it goes over the top of the base image, or that's how they all images will interact? Like, how does that work? Do you need to put it on? Need to put that effect on top, or is there a particular order you need to do things in to make sure?
For the image, you mean?
Yeah, for the 3 images, because the first one you did that makes sense, but then you put a second one on, and they all seem to interact with that filter. So I was just wondering if there's any particular order you need to do that in.
No. So always make sure that you put the hero image first, which is the main image,
right? And
put the image. Because it's the composition wise, right? They already have a black spot around it. Again, even if I move this down, it still works. Because it already have a radius of like black vignette, we call it, around it. So I don't have to worry so much of the blending. Right. And the second image, the haunted, also already have a black spot on top earlier, and which works perfectly for this. Yeah, there's no right order, but always start with the main image, which is the person.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just do a very quick see what went wrong here. supposed to work, but like I said, demo. So the difference how it works is that I think I am doing the wrong thing somewhere.
Does it need to be white
Yeah, might be.
rather than black?
Let's try white. Let's try white. Or should it be a different color? Oh yeah, it has to be white. Thanks, Flynn. There you go. So when I do that, so the color difference here, difference stands for it will invert that particular color at the background. Like for example, if I move things around here, right, it inverted the whole colors. Like for example, I don't have to worry so much of like, should I mask this area to a different color? So yeah,
right.
You don't have to worry so much on that one. So yeah, there you go. First movie poster done. I'm gonna just put in color lookup again to give it a bit of warm color.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool.
Perfect.
And when you use color lookup, I'm ruining your 5-minute thing because I keep asking you
questions.
Oh, it's
okay. No, don't worry about
when
it.
you use color lookup, like it's not the same as putting like a color over the top. Like it uses the actual kind of blends and essence of the photo as well. So just wanted to kind of mention that to people as well. It's quite different to kind of just changing the color of it. It's doing a lot kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's doing a bit of calculation in terms of like how much hue this let's say this particular is called edgy amber, or one of my favorite. Do a calculation of like how much warm am I supposed to put in, not destroying that particular image. Now, for example, always play also with the opacity. Like for example, if it's too yellow and whatever not, you can still play with it and it doesn't ruin your photo because it's right on top. Right, so you can still move things around. You don't have to worry that it will affect because it's being applied right on top. Another beauty of color lookup is that you can always have a different color lookup for each element of your photo. So again, it's like an Instagram filter emerged in your Photoshop. Yeah. So that's number one. Again, now that we're here, we can also look at different type of color lookup. Like for example, I'm gonna make this 100%. So it's giving a green tint. Like for example, tension green, I can also go for a different, more contrasty color for the teal. So whatever you see here comes together in Photoshop. So drop blue, literally, it drops the blue hue out of your photo. So now you can see it's more like a grayish green tint appearing here. Again, different color has different treatment.
That's great, and just it's such a good thing to do at the end of your project as well. I've noticed in other streams when you've shown this off, it's kind of the last sort of step, and you can just dramatically change things so much. And also in combination with playing with the adjustments as well, just a lot of experimentation, like you mentioned before, and you can get some really cool effects depending on the image that you've created. You never know what's going to work.
Yeah, very true. And doesn't mean that once you put things up normal, again on the first layer and it's normal, you can always even do the combination of the different type of combining layering effect. Like for example, if I scroll this down, you will get a different view as well. So again, there's no one feature in color lookup. You can always play with the magic of different layering. It gives a different mood as well. I kind of like this as well, the green tint over here. So that's a beauty of color lookup, something that I always bring back when I do my demo in Adobe, like one of my favorite. So this is number one. So I'm gonna just group this very quickly. I call it hello, and I hide that, and we're gonna bring in our second movie poster stock image. There you go, this person.
Cool.
Enlarge it. There you go, like this. Maybe a bit more over here. And the image that I wanna show next is image of a tear. This is the original stock image. You guys can see again when I select, I'll make sure there's a lot of black area and white area. Let's just do this composition over here, resize it, move it up, and get ready for the magic. Normal to lighter color.
So easy.
So easy. And then I'm gonna just move the person a bit here so they can see a bit of his mouth. There you go. And then Of course, like I said way earlier, if the white is not that white, you can do adjustment by clicking on that particular stock image, press on Ctrl L or Command L, slide the white color layer, make sure that it's pure white now. There you go. Done. You kind of already create the movie poster already.
Yeah.
The first one. And now I'm going to do the typography. Again, change my font to black. Let's call this Falling. And then enlarge it. And then again, you can play with a different type of like what do you call composition and whatever not. I'm going to just press enter. Enter. Falling. The reason why I'm doing this composition also is because it's falling, and it's always nice to do a typography where it's literally going downwards.
Yeah.
Right. You give a different messaging. It's falling. It does give the futuristic look that you're talking about, sci-fi film. So falling. There you go. It's because it's an empty area, so it's like, what is falling? It's live, a different messaging. Ooh. And I always, again, I like typography so much. I play with different typography. Again, it gives a different feeling to it. Like, for example, not sure if you guys know, if you watch any comedy movies, it's always big fat font with a red color.
Right.
Typography.
Right.
Because it automatically gives you like, it's a funny story. It's a comedy movie. So yeah. So there you go. Done.
Yeah. Typography goes a long way to conveying a message, for sure. There was a question, how did you get the effect on the text, Emmanuel, from YouTube? So I think we probably covered it in that. So I'm sure we were talking about the previous one, and it was an adjustment layer. Do you remember what the adjustment layer was for the text?
Yeah, sure. We can go back to that. So make sure, again, the font color is always white. Thanks, Flynn, for that. And then difference.
Probably just needs to be the opposite of whatever the primary is. So if it's mostly white, then you could probably do black on top, and I imagine it wasn't working, it was disappearing. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question, Emmanuel. Thank you for it.
It's called difference. So again, if I to drag this, you can see how it inverted the color.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This is that non-destructive working. It's just so cool. You can just move it around.
Yeah, it's not destructive. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wherever you move things around, it's always there. So falling is done. Last but not least, let's go to
it was basically 2 minutes, by the way. I stopped recording once we started chatting about it. So it was only 2 minutes. The second one.
Well, the second one. Yeah. Okay, the last one is the scam. I'm gonna drag in the image of the person. There you go.
Cool.
He looks like a businessman. So again, we don't know what he's up to. Okay, gonna drink a bit of water.
Good idea. Yeah, it's amazing. Like as we're talking about this, like how much just a single image can convey. Like as Ramesh was talking about it, he's got his back turns. Looks like he's wearing a suit. Yeah, just all these things. He's got his hands behind his back. He's looking down, like the lighting and everything. There's so much in an image that conveys, and then once you start mashing them together, how much you can change the context. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, sometimes people worry so much of like, okay, I only have this much of photos, but the beauty when there's a lot of like different modification that you can do to it, the color adjustment and a bit of like warping or moving things around, it already gives you a very wow look. So you don't have to worry so much of like, oh, I only have this. Be grateful you have these 3 images, and you'll be mind blown how if I take the 3 images and start giving to a different designers, they will execute a different way. So again, different possibilities, right? Let's change again normal to light color. There you go. Again, the beauty of this image, again, I know that his suit is not dark black, like pitch black. Still have of detailing all around. There's a hand at the back here. Okay, there you go. And again, another image that I want to add in is the fire. Enlarge this normal to lighter color. There you go. You can even make the road on fire if you want to, with a bit of masking. I'm gonna mask that and I'm gonna show you. There you go. It's very little effort. It's just importing, masking, and remove the top part, and you already create this effect. Because most of people was like, am I supposed to crop the fire out? You know how hard it is to crop a fire out?
Yeah, I imagine.
Because it's so much of detailing. You just need to make sure the hue of the orange is still there and everything. And I'm gonna move this down, not so much up. There you go, you're already here. And then, if you remember, I did talk about I want to work with a different texture. Like I don't want flat white. That's because I have, that image I probably need to rename to a different JPEG. Hold on. Let me see if that works. Oh, I can't. Okay, hold on. I can get the image. Okay. 1 second. I'm trying to locate the image. Okay, I have it. Okay. Just copy the image and put it in here. Like for example, this is the cloud image. I'm gonna just make sure that it's smart object, sky. Again, I'll always make sure that it's smart object because I know at one point I need this cloud back sky for my other manipulation. So I'm gonna just put this here. And here we're gonna play with blending of the layering. And I'm gonna just move this down. And I will get the effect that I want, which is this. And I'm gonna just mask it. And I'm gonna just have a very soft removal of the cloud. Just from the picture itself. Because I like how the cloud already gives the smoking effect at the bottom here.
Yeah, it blends really well with the fire down the bottom. Right? So it's a gradual feathering of the artwork. Blends it together really nicely.
Here and the street, there's a bit of light which I'm gonna remove here. There you go. And then of course the typography itself. Let's choose this. The scam. Let's enlarge this. Not so much space, make it 0. Make sure it up, and also always use the alignment. For example, is it really centered and whatever not? I don't think so many people know. Again, I can be an OCD person where is it really straight? That's when I start dragging the layer, like the ruler, and make sure that it's straight.
Yeah, the guides. Yeah.
And I'm gonna move this down, and then even further down because a different layering effect will give a different effect. So I'm gonna just move the up. And I'm gonna change normal to difference. There you go. When I do that, see how even the cycle and whatever shadow that appears merge together. The textures are still visible. It's not flat white.
That's a really cool effect. I love it.
Yeah, we're done. 3 movie posters.
That's awesome. Hey, we've got a few minutes left and a few questions, so I'm going to try and do it. Thank you so much for that, Ramesh. That was great. I'm sure everyone loved that in the chat as well. First questions: are all the images silhouette? So I assume that starting with a base image that's a silhouette because it's dark makes this process, is appropriate for this process, I assume.
Yeah, so first image, it has to be silhouette. Whatever comes after, just take into consideration of making sure the image there's a lot of dark spots and white spots so that your image looks more appealing. So, but yeah, the basic ones are always silhouette and make sure there's a lot of white space around it.
Perfect. Okay, another question. Ramesh, do you give private lessons?
Yes, I do. I'm supposed to run a workshop this year. Which gonna happen probably a month or 2. There's also a lot of requests to have a call, like for example, like stream like this, 1-to-1, which also I do. But then depending on my time as well, as long as my schedule is free, I don't mind committing to it. So yeah.
There we go. Okay, and I guess they could reach out to you, email or Instagram if that was something they were interested in. And you've got 30 seconds to answer this one. Is there something that you learned in your childhood that you use in your adult life or career? Something you learned in your childhood that you use in your career?
Story.
Story, yes. Awesome.
I love
Driving
telling
home the
story when I'm
today.
small, so it
Yeah.
helps a lot now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are back tomorrow, so I'm just going to give you a quick little preview of that.
Oh,
So
yes.
we're back with Ramesh doing twisted landscapes, so like creating this like surreal artwork. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be super fun. And just like today, we hope you guys join us, hang out with us, and until then, we'll see you later. Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.